I have Niti Nadarajah with me. Hello, Niti. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Great to be here.
Absolutely. So what do you have to say about listening? What comes up for you when you think about that word even?
So much. So important. I think it's one of the most underrated skills in the world, right? Like I just think it's, we don't listen to listen enough. We're often in our heads. We listen to respond. We listen to react. We listen, and whilst the person's talking, we're like do, coming up with response. Coming up with own story, coming up with segue into some other topic. It's that real deep sense of just listening to people. Just to listen is not there. And when someone can do that, and when you can be in that moment of just going, do you know what, I'm just going to be here and empty my mind out of all of my stuff, right? And just go, my purpose in this moment is just to be here in this chair, in this spot, standing, whatever you're doing, and just to be with this other person. I don't have anything to say unless the other person effectively invites me to say something. Beautiful. Right?
Yeah.
And that's, it could be something that the other person has said verbally that invites you to continue that conversation.
Yeah.
It could be something that they're saying with their body or with a gesture or with their eyes or, just something that says, okay, say something now. But it's not, it's not that, the most common response that we have as human beings, which is to just jump in and often interrupt a person, often not even wait until there's not even often a breath in between the person stopping what they're saying. And it's like, boop, and it's like, right, let's just throw something else in. And so for me, listening is just so important. And I can remember the times where, I've really felt deep connection to people and felt that sense of being able to be vulnerable and being able to share. It's been in moments where people have listened.
Yeah.
And often, and I say this too quite frequently, silence is huge.
Golden.
It's golden. And we often try and fill it because it's uncomfortable.
Yes.
Or it feels uncomfortable. Right? And we're like, got to say something because no one's saying anything.
Right.
There must be some words to fill this space.
But even if you're saying goodbye to somebody, there, I just interrupted you now.
Exactly. Yeah. But if you can sit there in that moment and just go, I don't need to say anything because this is not a moment that invites words. It's a moment that invites feeling.
Love it.
And silence can convey feeling.
Yeah. I know
I
was going to say, I know when to say goodbye to people, like that silence is saying goodbye. I keep saying something, keep talking. So now I go like this. I just wave goodbye to them just like this. They don't know I'm on the phone, but that helps me with the silence after you said goodbye.
Yeah.
There's not 50 million goodbyes, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's human nature, right? Like we do it quite frequently and we all do it.
Oh, yeah.
But there are moments where it's important not to do it and to consciously and eventually, hopefully unconsciously, get to a point where you can just be in that moment and you can just say, okay, this person needs me to be here in my full embodied self right now and not go off into my own story, right? Because it's not about me right now, it's about them. And I can convey, I can speak without speaking, right? I can speak through the way I sit. I can speak through the way I use my hands or my arms,
or your eyes.
Proximity, my eyes. I can speak through the way I react in my body to what they're saying. That's enough sometimes. You don't need to fill it with words because often the words are not sufficient. Often our language
they're English. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
our language is so weak. It is even funny.
And often in that moment, we can't come up with the words to necessarily provide the solace, comfort, etc., that's needed, right? Maybe we can, but I think often just the way we are in those moments in our body can say far more because it's natural and it comes more naturally to embody the feeling than it does to express the feeling.
Yeah, and some of that silence gives you time to process. And I love how you have listen to listen, because that's a developmental skill that most adults haven't even developed. And it's kind of like your thoughts, my thoughts, our thoughts. So your thought goes in, my thought goes in. And once we've heard each other's thoughts, then there's sort of this mixing up of, and I'm allowed to, go back, and you're allowed to go back and rethink and have a new thought and then bring that back, and then, and that's what people don't let each other do a lot of times, give them the freedom to change their mind or whatever, because they think, oh dear, did I make you change your mind? It's usually people who have been, with predators most of their life. They just would never want to do that to somebody else, and it just gets crazy making. So, right? So this is you, this is where you end, this is me, this is where I begin, that kind of thing. Jenny Langren's always talking about, this is where I end and you begin. And friction helps her to understand, this is me, this is you. She likes being with people who aren't like her, because she learns more about herself. I think that's so cute.
Yes. And that goes to, I guess, the topic of inclusion, which I'm so passionate about. And it's kind of that ability to listen, because quite often I think when it comes to that space, people rush off into solution mode, because again, you're off in your thoughts, right? Okay, I think people need this and I think people need that. And it's like, well, the fact that you're saying I think means you're assuming a lot.
If you say I think, you're in your ego. Let's start there.
Yeah, you're in your ego.
The soul knows.
Exactly. So perhaps let's step back and let's listen to some people and not judge them, not second guess them, just truly listen. And this is, I think, what's often missing in workplaces. It's really this need to just listen deeply with a blank mind, with an open mind, and just going, I'm just going to be here and absorb what this person is telling me.
Yeah, and if
whatever I might feel about it, if I was to think about it logically, right? Okay. But I just want to sit here and listen to it. And when you can absorb, right, and just listen, deeply listen, then perhaps you may come to a different place in terms of going, okay, then what? Now what? This is the person's story. This is their experience. What does that mean in this context? What does that mean for our workplace? What does that mean for society? What does it mean from a change perspective? And when you do that, you often can also meet in the middle more, rather than it being, I'm up here and I'm this one that creates the solutions and you're the people for whom I need to create the solutions, right? Yeah. It's more you're on a level, because suddenly it's, okay, I'm listening to you and I'm giving you that respect, that empathy, that compassion to go, okay, share whatever it is you will share. I'm going to just listen. No judgment, no nothing, just listen. And then from that listening, what can we do next?
All right. So that idea of just like going blank, letting go of everything and just really listening to another person is so crucial to like good listening skills. And I loved how you said, kind of coming to like an equal plane. Like, I'm not over you, I'm just here to listen, and just, with no agenda. And that's so beautiful.
Exactly right. And I think it's something we don't do often enough, and we're all guilty of it. Like, I won't say like, in every moment of every day, I'm being the world's best listener. 100% not. There are definitely moments I'm listening to react and listening to respond. But I think there are definitely moments in time where, you need to let that go, and you need to say to yourself, I, in this moment, need to put that all to a side. It's like actually going into your head and going, right, take this out, stick it to the side for a moment, let it be there until this conversation ends, right? Because in this moment, whatever this, whether it's a difficult conversation, whether it's, you know, someone's going through some stuff that's really hard, right, from a mental health perspective, perhaps, or they're struggling for some reason, whether it's a conversation of, you know, listening to someone else's lived experience of how they feel they're being treated in the workplace, or, you know, their issues around belonging within the workplace, of fitting in, of being included. All these sorts of conversations, you really need to go into that conversation going, right, I'm consciously going to remove that part of my head that says react. And I'm consciously going to remove that part of me that seeks to judge and seeks to find my own story.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm going to go put that to the side.
Right.
Because in this moment, I'm here to serve this other person.
There
and
you
in
go.
serving that other person, the only way I can do that is by suspending all of that and listening deeply and to listen.
Right. And my friend was like the president of principal of a charter school, and this couple, the parents came and they were so angry about something, and they just like went on and on and on and on and on, and she just sat there, and then she said, well, so what would you like to do about this problem? And they're like, what problem? Like they just went blah, and had someone listening to them, and then all of a sudden they no longer had a problem. They had processed it through, and they didn't even need her to say anything. She just got such a chuckle out of that. So thank you so much, Niti. This has been great. I just love your views on listening.